Hey everyone, welcome back. I am loading up to head to Portland and set up for Alder Creek Kayak and Canoes light and fast demo day on next Saturday. So I finally got to unwrap my own personal Boreas. I did an overview of this right when it came out, but now I'm gonna get it out in the field. And it's a pretty cool boat. Let me show you around. So this is kind of a combination Northwind 17 and Polaris on steroids, if you will. So just like the Polaris, on this boat, you're gonna see that high shoulder tumble home, so it tumbles back. And so unlike the Northwind 17, even though they both have that max width of 36, that tumble home back is going to give this kind of a nice narrower station. And what I'm excited about with this is because like my kids, obviously as their teens aren't as big, they're gonna have a nice station up here to paddle. And it's 17'9", 36 max width. The Polaris, the foot shorter boat, is a 34.5 inch. So this has the same max width as like a Northwind 17, but then again, it tumbles back. Differential rocker, so we have 1.5 in the back, and then up front you have 2.5. So, you know, total flat water capable, but still has that bit more maneuverability than, you know, a true straight you know, maybe like a Minnesota 2 from Winona or something like that. And I think that's kind of one of the feel that a lot of people like with Northstar. Because of that narrower station, I decided to put a kneeling thwart in this. I was really just curious to see how it soloed. And 3 inches longer than a Northwind 17, it actually has a little bit more capacity, and consequently probably hopefully also a little bit more speed, being a little bit longer. There is plenty of gear space here. I have a Boundary Waters trip in August, and I'm thinking about taking this. Probably going to take my 20 footer, because I have 5 of us going on this trip, and so 3 can be in one canoe. And then this would be like great for, you know, one of my teens and an adult with gear. I ordered this one in Starlight with aluminum trim. Just kind of a good workhorse layup. The Starlight is, you know, one of Northstar's lightest layups. And so you'll certainly see where they do the reinforcement with the ribbing. Went with aluminum trim here as well, just durable, lightweight. Got the ABS deck plate. One thing I do like about these is how easily you can remove them and replace them. Let's just say you drop it off the car and it takes a shot right here. This is kind of like a skateboard, like your skid plate. You know, you can remove them if need be. Then we have the gunwale here, the outwale in the inwale. So it still has that nice soft feel to it, and a 2-piece gunwale like this does offer some extra stiffness than a 1-piece. This is gonna weigh in, probably right in 40 pounds. I'll double check that and put it here in the text. My other consideration is possibly for my kids, raising that seat just a little bit, but we'll see how they like it. It might be just fine. And for a load boat, something that I plan to take into the Boundary Waters, it might be nice to actually just keep their profile a little bit lower. And then it'll be fun to see both how this solos. You know, I think on a windy day, you might be a little bit much to manage at 17'9", but you know, for a sunrise, sunset, go fish by yourself, go for a little paddle around the campsite, I think it'll be perfect. And because this boat is bigger, oftentimes on the Polaris, the kneeling thwart takes a little bit of capacity, but I think I'll have no problem putting gear in here. So that's just a quick overview of the Boreas, 17'9", 36 max width, 32 at the gunwale. And that's the big difference between the Northwind 17 and you're gonna be 36 at the gunwale on the Northwind 17. This is gonna live on top of my trailer for a week or two, or maybe even 3, or for a while. So I'm gonna put this Danuu cover on it. It's just such a good way. I just really have a hard time taking a brand new composite boat and sticking it on top of my trailer and letting it gather all that sun. And so we're gonna cover it up, and it'll also protect it when I'm moving it around, car topping it and so forth. Since I flipped it over to put the cover on it, just thought I'd show you the kind of the hull. And again, because this is a high shoulder tumble home, you are gonna have that center seam line, which again, it's not a 2-part built boat, it's the mold that's 2 pieces. I think that's pretty well known now. I just love the constant flare. You know, the idea that when you paddle this boat without gear, it's a little narrower, and then as you load it up, it starts to flare out. And actually, that's actually what's given these new Motion Scouts. You can kind of see the same thing, all that flare outward. And that's what gives so much stability in these new Scouts from Motion out of Washington. So it's kind of cool to sell this similar performance in both a canoe and a kayak. All right, guys, we're gonna get the cover on this baby and get it out into the world. So put the boat upside down, throw the cover on top. That's the nice thing with the cover versus a bag, is it's easier to get on versus sliding into a bag. Where I'm gonna start with this cover from Danuu is to pull on this drawstring, which goes all the way around the cover and just kind of pulls things tight. So I'm gonna need 2 hands, but I'll do that right now. The next thing are these straps, which can be pulled tight to cinch the length of the cover. This is I think a 15 to 18 foot cover, so I don't need to do too much of that. But one of the tricks I do is normally you go to that buckle. I like to cross this underneath and hit the buckle from the other side. Just snugs things up a little bit. And then we're gonna do all the belly straps as well. So let's get going on that. Okay, there's my cover on. Obviously a little wrinkled up from being in storage. I couldn't crisscross the front straps. So the cool part about this is how the versatility and length. I can put this on a 16 footer and tighten it up and kind of hem that in, if you will. But on this boat that's close to 18, it fits nice. I also have extra, this one's been around by the way, but I also have these extra loops where I could add like bungee cross straps just to tighten things up even more. But you know, you only need to bounce this on the ground once, bump it into something once, and have the cover take the hit. Not to mention all the UV protection to the composites. It's just an easy, great investment. I mean, we put our phone in a case, we put our guitars in cases, we put our cars in the garage. If you are thinking like of being on the road often with your canoe, this is just great. I can leave this up on top of my trailer and not have to worry about UV damage. So 303, if you're not going to use one of these, is helpful, but this is just like wearing a sun shirt, but for your canoe. So I'm gonna load this up on my trailer. Last little thing is this boat will probably stick off the back of my trailer, and the Danuu cover here has a little bag flag to it. So if you're interested in these covers, give me a shout. I'll connect you with a retailer. I would say that probably half the canoes I sell go with the cover, and then maybe of those folks, another half that did not take one, call me later and say I want a cover. And the best story I have about the cover is I had a friend here in Bend that left their canoe outside, very sunny area, for a decade, and the cover finally kind of rotted off of his boat. But think of all the damage that would have been on his canoe itself. So, all right, we'll get this going, and then I'm gonna get this on the water this week and show you hopefully both solo and tandem videos of the Boreas from Northstar. All right, see you down the road.